On the NSA, just a couple of weeks after 9/11, the very start of October 2001, you were briefed on an NSA spying program, and you objected. You wrote a letter to the NSA saying, "I'm concerned about this warrantless spying." The NSA responded to you with a letter, and I know you released it, and the entire thing is redacted. And I printed it out. I actually have it because it's funny, because so much of it is redacted. What they released is absolutely nothing.
Dear Congresswoman,
yes.
redact.
Sincerely yours.
Sincerely yours.
Exactly. But was there something in that letter that, and I know it's redacted, so it can't be released publicly, but was there something in that letter that made you feel like, you know what, I objected privately, I should not object publicly.
No.
I should not.
Well, you can't. You can't.
You can't speak out about the content of what you have been briefed on, but isn't there a way that you can say, I'm a senior member of the House Intelligence Committee, I believe that we are doing something we ought not be doing?
You cannot do that publicly, and that's something that I think we have to change in terms of, because your hands are pretty much tied.
Do you think the rules should be changed in terms of what members of oversight committees can say?
You know, I thought, can you go to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court? These are issues, mind you, that you can't even talk to your staff about. I have a security advisor, but you can't talk to anybody about it, and that just isn't right. That isn't right, because it gives all the cards to the administration, and then if you say anything about it, you have violated our national security. Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't be that.
It neuters the oversight role of Congress.
It does, and that's what we're going to change, because you can't, even with a Democratic president, you want any president, Democratic or Republican, to have that kind of authority, and that will happen.
And that will happen. We will change that. If you want to know what all the fighting's about over whether the CIA has been lying to Congress and why we're getting this allegation now from congressional Democrats that CIA has been lying to Congress, I think that what Nancy Pelosi told me back in February in that section of our interview we just re-aired is the big issue here. Pelosi's argument to me when I challenged her about whether she knew about NSA spying, whether she knew about enhanced interrogation, was that she was sort of informed about some aspects of these things, but she couldn't talk to staff about it. She couldn't talk to other members of Congress about it. She certainly couldn't talk to the public about it. She said she even considered going to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court personally because she didn't know who else she would be allowed to consult. How can you conduct oversight when you're told something alone and aren't allowed to tell anyone else what you've been told? That counts as oversight? That counts as you controlling an agency? That's what Pelosi and Democrats on the intelligence committees are trying to change now. They want the whole committee briefed, so at least they can debate what they're told. And that proposed change is why we are having this kerfuffle now over what the CIA says behind closed doors versus what it says in public. It's also, if you think about it, a big part of the difference between having a spy service that is American, that's inside the law, and one that is a rogue secret agency that frankly just does what it wants regardless of the law. Joining us now is Richard Clarke, former chief counterterrorism advisor to both the Bush and Clinton presidencies, and author most recently of Your Government Failed You, Breaking the Cycle of National Security Disasters. He's the chairman now of Good Harbor Consulting. Mr. Clarke, thanks very much for joining us.
No, Rachel, it's great to be on the show.
Every American counts on our government being good at spying. We need to be good at intelligence collection and analysis for the safety of our country, but spying also needs to be legal. Do you think the current system, the Gang of Eight briefing system, allows the CIA to be good at spying and to be doing their work legally?
I think the briefings of the Gang of Eight, those very sensitive briefings, as opposed to the broader briefings, the Gang of Eight briefings are often a farce. They catch them alone, one at a time usually. They run some briefing by them. The congressman can't keep the briefing. They can't take notes. They can't consult their staff. They don't know what the briefings are about in advance. It's a box check so that the CIA can say it complied with the law. It's not oversight. It doesn't work.
What do you make of the Obama administration threatening to veto the intelligence authorization bill if it includes a provision to expand the Gang of Eight briefings and change them up so that more members of Congress get those briefings all together?
Well, first of all, I think it's shocking that the White House is allowing a public fight between Leon Panetta, who's a very honorable man, by the way, and the Speaker of the House, who's also very honorable, and both of them are leading Democrats. The White House should never allow this to get out in public. They should bring the two of them in a long time ago, sit them down, and work something out. Now, the word today is that the White House is willing to work something out to fix this system because they know as well as anybody else it's broken.
In terms of the big picture on counterterrorism, and intelligence is part of that, but counterterrorism is a lot of things. 6 months into this administration's first term, speaking as the former counterterrorism head on the National Security Council, could you give them a preliminary grade on how they're doing on counterterrorism issues? Can you tell enough from outside government now to know?
Yeah, I think they're doing very well. They haven't had the courage yet, and I understand why, to get rid of a lot of the bloated bureaucracy that blew up after 9/11. But I think they're doing a very good job so far. They should be paying a little bit more attention to groups other than al-Qaeda, groups in Pakistan that might attack India, that sort of thing. But by and large, I think they're doing a good job. They're focusing on Yemen, which is about to fall apart at the seams and where al-Qaeda is moving in. They're focusing on Somalia, which is also a place al-Qaeda is moving to. I think they're a little bit ahead of the game.
Let me ask you about another intelligence issue that's in the news right now. The president has proposed a form of preventive detention. The Pentagon General Counsel this week said the administration might keep people in jail even after they were acquitted, found innocent, essentially, in court. Do you see that as an assertion that they believe more in intelligence as a system than they do in the justice system, that their suspicion of somebody's dangerousness is more important than any evidence against that person?
I think it's an admission they don't believe in the Constitution. I think we have to distinguish between the people at Guantanamo and elsewhere, where the last administration so tainted things that it will be difficult to try them, and other people that we might come across in the future. The people we come across in the future, there's absolutely no need to do detention without trial. Either try them in the country where they're committing the crime under their system, or bring them back here, as I used to do, give them their rights, give them an attorney, and put them on trial. By the way, we had a 100% conviction rate when we did that. There's never been a terrorist that I know of that you couldn't convict if you really wanted to, if you built a case and took the time to do it.
As long as you defined a terrorist as somebody who was a member of a known terrorist organization or who'd committed a terrorist act, rather than just somebody who was thinking about being bad in the future, which of course is what we're worried about with the idea of preventive detention.
Exactly. If you think they're going to do something in the future, then keep your eye on them until they cross the line and you can arrest them.
Or be like do like what the British do and go warn them. Go tell people who you think are bad people, hey, we're watching you, in the hopes that that will scare them out of committing their future bad act.
I wouldn't recommend that.
Fair enough. Richard Clarke, the former counterterrorism chief of the National Security Council, author of Your Government Failed You, which is now out in paperback. Thanks very much for your time tonight, sir. It's always really nice to see you.
Thank you, Rachel.